some days back, I was in Abuja, and I was trying to communicate with my husband because there was something that we were supposed to do. We had spoken in the morning already, right? But then I needed to get back to him to hear his feedback because it had to do with Abuja before I leave Abuja. So I was sitting down. I had already checked out of my hotel room, and I was sitting down in the lobby. My cab was on its way, and my bags were packed. I was sitting in the lobby trying to reach my husband. So I was calling his line. He didn't pick. Now my husband is someone that if he doesn't pick your phone call, maybe he's in the bathroom trying to take his bath, because if he's going to sit down to poop, he's with his phone. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's trying to take a bath, because even if he's sleeping, if his phone rings, he's going to wake up. So I'm like, okay. I tried calling. I waited for the appropriate time that I felt like he must have been done from taking his bath, and then he didn't call me back, which is very unusual. I said, no, let me try to reach this man again. I tried calling again. He didn't pick. At this time I was not panicking because normal level. I now asked my girl, and I called my girl because it was a matter of urgency. My cab was here. I needed to know whether I was going to that location first before I headed to my real, destination. So I needed to know so that I'm not going this way and then later on I missed not going here. So I now had to call my girl. I said, go and knock on the door. I want to say. I said, where is my husband at home? She said, yes, Oga is upstairs. I said, oh yeah, go and knock on the door, and I want to speak to him, because wherever he is, if you knock on the door, he will surely answer. If he's sleeping and you knock on the door, he will hear you and wake up. She went there, knocked on the door, knocked and knocked and knocked, and she said, Oga is not answering, but he's inside. I said, oh, that's actually very unusual. My husband is not someone that can sleep through a knock, even as little as opening the door. Me, I'm someone that is very deliberate about noise. So if someone is in the room sleeping, I can open that door without making a sound, but if you open that door, my husband wakes up. So imagine him not waking up from a knock. See, I'm not going to lie to you. I panicked. I panicked big time, because people have been dying anyhow. People have been dying out of blood pressure, and people have just, a lot of things have been happening to young people. My husband is very young, he's not up to 40. I entered panic mode because that man doesn't sleep properly. I don't even know if he eats properly. He's very, I don't know, he doesn't prioritize his health. He's always very busy, round the clock. So I started panicking. I said, go and knock the door again. She went, knocked the door. He didn't respond. I said, let me start calling George, his CSO, to come upstairs, because most times my husband sleeps naked. So I can't tell my girl to burst into the room, which was the first thing I wanted to do, open the door and enter. I said, let me hold myself. I was like, okay, let me call George to go up to the room and enter the room, because the door is not locked. But nobody enters the room without having a go ahead from inside. That's how even down to my children are trained. Even Ekana now sees that his younger ones knock the door. So they knock the door, and then they tell you who they are. If you want them in, you say come in. If you don't want them in, they don't come in. You have to train your children well. So I don't the sweat, serious panic, as in instant sweat catch me while I sit down. And then before it would take for me to call George, they had already called me. I think my husband said calling my line. I said, I called the call and I picked, and I said, what's happening now? I said, oh, I slept off. I said, in the morning by this time, I think that was around 10, 11. That's one of his most busiest time. You slept off. What happened? He said, there was something he took that didn't sit well in his system, and it just, knocked him off. I said, thank God. Now, see, in that split second where I felt like something may have happened to my husband, my head almost exploded. My eye turned around. I entered serious panic mode. Now I'm making this video from a relaxed point of view, but I wanted to ask you, the husband, if anything happens to you today, will your wife panic? Will she panic? Wifey, if anything happens to your husband today, will you panic? Will you be worried? Are you going to be shaken? I want you guys to ask yourself this serious question. It's not a joke. Because if something would happen to your husband and you don't fear losing him, you're not scared, or you the man, if something happens to you and your wife is not scared to lose you, she doesn't enter panic mode, you guys have to sit down and reevaluate your relationship. There's something wrong somewhere, and trust me, there's nothing beyond repair. I can help you guys repair your home if you want. I'm just the DM away. I charge or you will pay, sha. Okay, that being said and done, let me go meet my husband and remind him how much I love him again, because that heart attack I almost had, God forbid, battle.